Today's journal, today's contemplation. Yeah, I think this is much more very philosophical in its nature, right? I wouldn't even know what definition of philosophical would mean, but it's I was thinking about identity, right? Identity is one thing that, generally speaking, is spoken of to be something of like, what's your identity? Who are you? First of all, is people need identity from other people so that they can feel safe. That's first thing I notice about identity. It's like, if you claim to be this kind of thing, even without you speaking, somebody's going to be like afraid of you because they have a whole lot of connotations about whatever you identify yourself. So it's like when they meet, they say, who are you? What do you believe in? Like, for me, I feel like that's like, can you chill? Let's talk. It's like, and one thing I know about identity is it gives and it takes, right? Identity gives and it takes, and it's like unarguably a very good thing to identify, as a citizen of a country, as a certain culture, and very, very solid. But while we identify as these things, they give us a sense of belonging, a sense of interaction, a sense of well-being, a sense of trading, right? Because if you're in a certain community now, you don't identify with that community, you might not be able to trade, you might not be able to have, marry and all those things, right? But thing about identity that it gives and then it takes. What does it take from us? It takes from us the large part of our, or let me say, large part of my, large part of our possibilities, right? And if there's one thing I've noticed is how you identify as something, but you only identify as that thing because if I don't identify as this thing, then I'll become a fool, right? And sometimes it's not all the cases that you want to identify that. But the thing about identity and how it takes is that when you claim to be A, in the next 5 years you find out that you are A, B, C, D, and then the A that you have claimed to be will not be able to accommodate the B, C, D, and the B, C, D must, because that's how like growing from the inside out is. And that's why I think that's like the basis of change, right? Is that you identify as something, and then what you don't identify as comes to break up what you identify as, so that what you identify as can expand. And I'm like really looking at it, and I'm like finding and expanding your identity sphere in the sense that you can easily expand it without so much pain and so much hurt. It's like healthy. I'm really thinking about this, right? Because it's like you identify as A, then you find out that you are more than A, and then what do? You have to tear down A, and then you have to rebuild. That's like the death and rebirth thing. And it's like you necessarily are going to like die, irrespective of whether you want to. It's just how are you going to accept it, right? You identify as this, you identify as that, no matter what we identify as, it's always going to adjust. And it's like, I can certainly feel that, and I've certainly felt that over the years running, because it's like, for every human, there seems to be a deeper understanding we personally have, but that understanding doesn't have a place in society. And so we either abandon it or we sell it. We fix it into the current identity and the current things. It will happen, but finding space for your original thoughts and finding space for your original emanations, your original emotions, energy, whatever language works, is kind of like, I think, healthy, right? And this thought is quite so basically I think I'm happy recording this again. Is identity. I think I would stretch this for as long as this week is, because I think I made a right talk this morning on my own notepad, and this is just me recording like a very fraction part of it, but Yeah. We are all bigger than what we identify as. And it is through this hope and through this gradual process of living that we, bring up all of these things and call it an identity. And calling things an identity is like putting a pause. And then, life is not about pausing. It's about pausing and moving. So when we want to move, how do we update? Yeah. Well, I think I've said so much things.